Out of all the actual Doctor Who monsters that you've had to encounter, which do you think was the most intricate, most developed, and which one was your favorite?
I tell you, the one that I find the most frightening, well, no, let me just start again. When I was a child, the monster or foe that I found most frightening it was the Cybermen. I found them much more scary than the Daleks. And then when I started watching Doctor Who in its new incarnation, thanks to Russell T Davies, I found oh, they were awful, in fact. I'm glad they haven't come back because they were so awful. Those awful zombie kind of people that had water pouring out of their eyes and mouth on Mars. Oh my God, they terrified me. They were really, really scary. In fact, I think that's why they haven't been back, because they were just a bit too scary. But in everything, all of the ones that I'm now fighting, it's very difficult because they're all. He's so clever, Stephen.
He's not watching this. I'm just saying.
No, I tell you, no. What I was going to say, because I don't think I can tell you one in particular, but the Weeping Angels, I find if I was small, now, like, well, you might even be able to answer this. If I sort of thought that any statue that I looked at actually might be moving when I looked away, I think that would absolutely terrify me. And then, so it's like he has sort of real things that we can relate to and understand, which are, gargoyles, statues, whatever. They're in our world, but he puts a psychological spin on them, which is, do they move or not? And then the other ones that I find so frightening are the silence, because he's playing with your mind, your psychology, because they could all be in this room right now. It's just we've forgotten they are. And so, I think, my God, he's clever, because you can play those psychological games with yourself. I do now. When I walk past a statue, I'll look behind and just.
I don't know if that's clever or sadistic, or both.
Hi. I recently finished playing the Doctor Who Eternity Clock video game, and I know you and Matt were involved with it, and I just wanted to know...
Hang on, it's not out yet.
Yes, it is. I finished it.
Oh my God, it's come out?
Yes.
But you can just buy it. Oh my God, why haven't they sent me any?
I just wanted to know what your experience working on that project was like, because it's amazing. You can tell that.
Do you think I look like me?
Yes.
Oh good, that's all right. I tell you, I've got a great body. I love my body. It was really fun. Matt did it in London. And he actually was working in some sort of studio, with green screen, and he had kind of all the probes all over his body. And because they were doing it in London, I was in LA, they had to actually get somebody else, a stand-in, with all the probes and everything, to be River, so he could physically relate to somebody else. And then they did a sort of a computerized mock-up of me. And then in LA, while Matt was in England, we were sort of working together, just doing all the vocal stuff. And that was really funny, because you're standing just with a microphone like this, and you just have to go, oh, and do all variations of and it's a bit embarrassing. Yeah, I know, it's like all others. And then I thought it was all done, and then I was just recently over in England, and they asked me if I could come in and do some more, and I thought I only had to do like a page of bits. and I'd gone out, and oh, in fact, that was with John Barrowman. I was out the night before till 4 in the morning, and I had to be at 10 in the studio, and my voice, can you tell ever in any of it? And I had to do like 70 pages of dialogue, and I thought I only had to do about 5 lines. It was awful. I had a terrible hangover, and I had to pretend I had a cold. That's naughty Captain Jack.
Actually, in November when I interviewed Nea Kimori, and she was telling us all the stories about Jack. Oh yeah, he naughty boy.
Naughty, naughty.
Hi. Now that you've played River for quite a while, do you have any input into how she reacts, or is it all set in stone?
I don't know, to be honest. I tell you one thing, Matt brought this up. Only Stephen writes River Song. He doesn't allow any of the other writers to include her in their episodes. And Matt thinks that Stephen has a crush on River. Like, he thinks that River...
Who doesn't?
He thinks that sort of River is his sort of absolute ideal woman. And he gives me all the best lines, which the other 3 get a bit pissy about, to be honest. But I don't mind.
Once again, I'd like to thank you for being here.
Thanks.
Really appreciate it. So your role as River's Song in the Doctor Who series has added a more complex timeline and narrative schema as well. Ultimately, in your opinion, what is Doctor Who doing with this transient connection between memory, narrative, time, and history as a means to understand humanity, or humans in general? Sorry.
Can you start that all over again, very slowly?
It's like Steve wrote it.
Yeah, you are Stephen Moffat. You see, you come in disguise. I knew it.
Sorry, I was just asking, in your opinion, how Doctor Who incorporating time, narrative, history as one is used to understand the progress of humanity, or how do you see it in that regard?
Now I've got to sound really intelligent.
It's okay, you're British, you can say what you like. That's what I do.
Well, I think that, well, for a start, the Doctor is, like I said, even though I do have a gun sometimes, the Doctor doesn't ever use one. He doesn't ever, the only time he used one was to shoot a light out. So he doesn't, so just using that, I think Stephen actually has great faith in humanity. And I think it's also part of the reason why the Doctor keeps coming back to save Earth all the time, because he actually really does believe that this is a planet that's worth saving. And if a character, for hundreds of years keeps doing that, I think it actually shows that also the creators also believe it. And as I said, it's ultimately it's a family show, and it's a show that children grow up loving and turn into adults loving and continue to love it, and then encourage their children to watch it. And so if there was something ultimately sort of negative, I don't think it would actually have been able to continue for as long as it does. At the same time, I think that we all can potentially learn from it, and learn from this man who has belief and faith in us. Thank you. Does that answer?
Wow.
Hello, I'm trying not to pass pass out now. I wanted to say first off, thank you so much. I think that your regeneration trauma in Let's Kill Hitler is without a doubt the definitive regeneration trauma.
Okay, I'll tell you something. I so loved that moment, and I actually did choose the outfits, and I absolutely was channeling the Night Porter, which maybe nobody knows what that movie is, but they had to tone me down a bit because I was really going for it.
It was absolutely brilliant, but
Thank you.
the question side of it has nothing to do with that. I just wanted to know if Sydney Wade is going to follow you around her entire career and do versions of you or your child, because she does that so very well.
I know, Sydney. It was so lovely that I did a ghost story series in which this little girl Sydney played my daughter, and then literally the very next job that I was doing was Doctor Who, and Sydney suddenly was there in Doctor Who as well. She followed her career because I think she's got a great future ahead of her. She's a phenomenal little girl, actually.
Hi Alex, it's been a real pleasure to meet you. Knowing that there's some changes with the companions for the next season, I can't believe nobody else has asked this question. How much of you do we get to see next year that you can actually share with us in this next series and into 2013?
Well, I can't share anything with you. Spoilers. No, I cannot share anything with you, other than I will be back. And let me see if I can say anything. Oh, I can't say that. Let me see what I can say. I can say...
Do you want another question?
I'll say trench coat.
You're worse than Stephen.
Hi Alex.
And Reuben sandwich.
Hi Alex. I think your work is brilliant, and I love everything you do. I want to thank you for bringing all our American contemporaries, ER fans, to Doctor Who, because a lot of us never knew Doctor Who growing up here, and I know I've talked to a number of people that watched Doctor Who because they were fans of yours from ER, including myself.
That's really nice.
So we really have this time with our kids are in it, so we have this family time.
Yeah.
My question is, you had such a serious character on ER, and I was glad to see you have a much more lighthearted character on Doctor Who. Which do you enjoy more, and which is more challenging for
you? It's interesting because I'm actually, I think, more of a comedian. And in England, people knew that from my work on stage. But because I was introduced to an American audience, I think, through ER, I think that's how people imagine I am, or they think that's what Alex's acting is. Oh God! I just made my knee jerk. Sorry. But I enjoy both. I mean, I love doing serious drama. I mean, I'm a stage actress, so. But yes, I think I'm a character actress, basically. That's how I would always describe myself, probably.
you?
Oh wow! Oh my God! It's the first braces and hello.
Who's your favorite character in the new Doctor Who?
Well, who are you dressed as? Do you know who you're dressed as?
11 Doctor.
Doctor number 11. Do you know his name? Other than, do you know the actor's name?
It is
Matt Smith.
Matt Smith.
Well, that's funny you should say that, because he's my favourite. You should have known, I know it's you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Who is your doctor? Is it 11?
Yeah,
Yeah.
for now.
Hey,
Hello.
sorry, I had to write down. Were you there for Karen and Arthur's reactions when they found out that you were, in fact, their daughter?
I was, yes.
And how, I mean, was that mind-blowing, or?
Do you know, it was interesting because we were literally, the script that had been printed and given to everybody had a false ending. So nobody knew, including the crew, nobody knew. And because the episodes are shot out of sequence, the moment where it came to the reveal, which initially Matt and I had, the few pages with the reveal, that moment was, they were literally handed those pages on the, I think it was the night before. And I can't remember whether Karen and Arthur were given those pages or not, or whether it was just Matt and I. No, I think they were given the pages the night before as well. But I hadn't seen them. I literally had arrived to shoot that scene. That was the first thing that I'd come to do. And I actually did have a cold that time. I wasn't hungover. I'd actually almost lost my voice, but the crew didn't know. So we knew, and we weren't going to rehearse it. They were just going to shoot it. So the crew did not know, which gave it a kind of slight frisson because we just thought they would all be blown away. But I got terribly emotional actually when I looked at them and told them. I really